Welcome back to Live at the Roxy. As we are at this later time today, I'm kind of feeling a little relaxed. I'm grooving out. And the reason for all that is because I'm with a dear friend of mine. 3,000 miles can't stop us. Yes, that's right. Jonny Loquasto in the
Oh,
house.
what an honor it is to be here with the polarizing Roxy Stryer, the
Oh,
internet polarizing
boy.
Roxy Stryer.
It's like, she doesn't even try, yet she is. We can't all be you, Jonny. We can't all fix everybody's aches and pains and give every ounce of blood that's in our body to other people. Some of us have to be here to make people angry. And
Well,
I guess I'm
that's why I generally like to not have an opinion about anything on the internet because it keeps me out of trouble.
I know. For those of you guys who don't know Jonny, I don't know how you possibly know me because we've been working together for a long time. Hosted DC Movie News in the past, now has been popping on again and gracing us with his presence, all associated with the WWE and doing wrestling stuff forever too. And a stand-up comedian who, I don't know if you even know this, Jonny, is the first stand-up whose album I listened to. So that's a place in my heart. You're the very first album I ever listened to, which is crazy.
Well, on the bright side, you can only go up from there. So that's a wonderful thing.
Because that's how it works when you have a friend who's a comedian who you actually think is funny and he hands you his CD, you listen to it. So that's the first time I did that. And I also went and saw a taping of yours. I haven't even asked you about what's going on with that.
Yeah, you were there November 11th. Well, first off, thank you what you said about I remember when you gave your online review about my album, and that it made me almost cry because you were so genuine in what you said.
It was so good, Jonny. It was so funny. I love that album. I love it.
I'm very proud of it. It took about 6 to 7 months of work because it wasn't like your typical stand-up album to where, please welcome, and the comic does their set, they say goodbye, and it's over, and it's split up into a bunch of tracks. Like, I wanted to have a concept album. I found an amazing producer, and we spent about 6 to 7 months in his recording studio off and on. And I think it really
commercial things that were really cool too. I don't even know what to call them because that's how out of that part of the industry I am. But that was so funny. I hadn't ever heard that before.
It's been done. I mean, I grew up listening to Sandler albums, and I remember Dennis Leary's album, Chris Rock's album, Roll with the New, had a whole bunch of random sketches. And so I was really inspired by all this stuff 25 plus years ago. And I said, I just want to do something like it. And so I remember I was working on a cruise ship. It was like the first week of January of 2017. And when you're on a cruise ship. What
were you doing?
Doing stand-up on the ship.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But you don't have the internet, right? And so you're off the grid. And I said, you know what can I do this year? That would be a cool project. I'm like, all right, I'll create an album. And the whole week I just started formulating ideas and coming up with all this weird stuff in my head. And I thought of the album title before anything else. And I liked the title so much. I said, okay, I got to make an album based around the title. It's got to be strange. How can I do it? And that's kind of how it developed.
Wait, question about something you just said that's kind of unrelated. But when you're a stand-up on a cruise ship, is going on the cruise part of what you're doing? Like when you're not doing stand-up, are you on the cruise, or do they pick you up somewhere at a port just for one of the nights?
It's funny you asked that. It's a little bit of both. So if you're on a week-long cruise, you get bored with everyone and you generally get off with everyone. But I did one a couple years ago that ended up going to Antarctica, and I didn't even know it was going there when I got on the ship.
What?
Are you surprised? It's me. I mean, why would I?
But what? Wait, you didn't ask? You just were like, yeah, cool. No, I'll get on this Antarctica ship.
What happened was when my agency at the time, they would send me a booking, and it would not be descriptive at all. It would just say what airport I'm leaving from, what airport I'm going to, and what cruise line it was. And I remember looking on the cruise line website to try to figure out what cruise it was. Very hard to navigate. And after about 5 minutes, I said, whatever. And I stopped looking. And so I knew I had to fly to Argentina. And I'm about to land. We're maybe an hour from landing. And I'm talking to an older couple next to me because luckily they spoke English. And she goes, where are you going to next? I said, I think I have a layover. And I showed her my itinerary. And she said, honey, you have to go to a different airport before you get on your next flight. Okay. And keep in mind, we had already stopped and gotten gas on this flight because we ran out of gas.
Wait, no way. That's never happened to me before. You guys had to land the plane, get gas. You just said that so casually, Jonny. We had to stop to get gas. You're on a plane.
I would make a good pilot, ladies and gentlemen. We are running out of gas, so we're going to stop down lickety split. And so our 6-hour layover became a 3-hour layover. And then I realized I have to go to another airport. And I know enough Spanish to where I was able to talk to the gate agent, and she knew enough English. We worked it out. And she basically said, you need to hurry. It's a 55-minute drive to the next airport. And I'm like, so they get me in a cab. And like I said, I'm speaking, Spanish with the cab driver, and he's bobbing and weaving, zipping and zooming. And I get to the other airport an hour and 3 minutes before my flight. So I check my bag, hop on the plane. I land in Ushuaia, which is the southernmost city in the world, right? I still don't know what I'm doing. I just know they're putting me up for the night, and I'm not due on the ship until 5 p.m. the next day. So I do a hike around the national park. This town is so small. There's not a bar. There's not a restaurant. There's really nothing. But it was beautiful. Like I'm so grateful I got to spend time there. And so I finally get on the ship the next day. I meet the entertainment director, and I'm walking on board with shorts and a hoodie because it's nice and warm.
Wait, why is a cruise taking off from there if it's so hard to get to?
They weren't. They were on day 8 out of 18, which I didn't know that. Right. So they started, I don't even know where. And so I'm talking to the entertainment director, and I said, where are we going? And he just paused like you did and looked at me and said, you don't know where we're going. I said, no, I knew I was going to Argentina. I just figured we were just going to float around here for a little bit. And he goes, we're going to Antarctica, dude. And I was like, oh. He said, you brought warm clothing, right? And I said,
did you?
No. I had a hoodie and my Sixers beanie, and that was all I had. But it was fun.
What the fuck did you do?
I didn't go outside that often. And here's the craziest thing about it. We were supposed to make 2 stops over those 9 days, and the weather was so bad that we couldn't make either stop. One of the stops was the famous Penguin Island. I forget the exact name of it, but it has
how famous could it be?
Right. Well, it's the highest concentration of penguins in the world, right? Everyone's excited. Keep in mind, the average age of the ship was 71. Not a good.
So the average age of person on the ship?
Yeah. Anytime I would get on a ship, I would always ask the entertainment director what the average age of the ship was, so I knew what kind of crowd I would have.
71 was average?
The shows were brutal. It was like a $4,000 cruise. It was very expensive, and 18 days. So, yeah.
What do you joke about to 71-year-olds?
Well, my first show was the night I got on board at 9:00. What the schedulers didn't realize is people didn't have to be back on board that night until midnight. So I did a 45-minute set in a 1,000-seat theater for about 60 people. What a time it was.
Oh, woof.
Yes. And so they apologized. And then they said, they apologized and said, you know what? We feel like maybe a matinee would be better for this audience. So they had me do a 2:00 show later on in the week. So I only did 2 shows over the course of 9 days, but we never got off the ship. So by the time we got back to Argentina, people were they had enough. They were all upset we couldn't stop anywhere.
You didn't know you were going to Argentina, but did you know you were going to be on a ship for 9 days?
I knew I was going to be on a ship for at least a week, and then it ended up being an extra 2 days because of weather. I didn't know I was going to Antarctica. Right. I knew I was flying to
Antarctica. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Strange life you've had. I feel like you've had 14 careers and lives so far, and
it's been a weird ride.
Yeah, I love that about you, though. You've got a lot of passions, and I know that you guys love that about him too, which is why you've been submitting questions for him on the Patreon and Streamlabs and the Super Chat. We will get to all of those. Just starting with, as Weston puts it, hit that Larry like. Larry is the one who usually says to like everything, so I love that we're calling it the Larry like now. It's great. Oh, I didn't even mean to just click on this, but Gregory said, did they get people off cruise ships yet, or are they still drifting? Is that a thing?
Well, there were a couple ships that were kind of quarantined. I have not been on a ship since March of last year, so I don't know. But I have a feeling. I have a feeling the cruise ship industry is going to be one of the last things to really get going, if I had to guess. Because
you're literally stuck with. I mean, that's tough. That's a tough look. to be on a cruise ship during this. Before we get into these questions, I know we want to talk a little bit about this. Like I said before, Jonny was the host of DC Movie News for quite some time, and he's been guesting on the show recently. And what comes with being on DC Movie News, of course, is talking a lot about Zack Snyder. What comes with talking about Zack Snyder over the years, apparently, is the amount of ridicule that no human being should have to face. Hello, my name is Roxy Stryer. I didn't believe the Snyder Cut existed 2 years ago, and I don't know that I'll ever live that down. Holy shit, John.
So let's reverse the show now. I want to interview you because I cannot keep up with the vitriol you are dealing with on social media. What exactly? I don't ever remember you criticizing Zack Snyder fans. I don't ever remember you trashing.
Okay, so I have done some things. Okay. I will tell you. I've done some things that I highly regret and wish that I did not do. Partially because of the amount of slack that I'm getting, and partially because I record for 8 hours a day every day for the last 10 years of my life. So you inevitably say stupid shit.
Right.
So I started looking back because I was like, why are people so fucking mad at me? Why are they so mad at me? Like telling me to die. People are saying, post the receipts, post the receipts. I am like scared. The last time I posted the receipts of somebody, I ended up with a stalker, and I had to call the cops. So like, I don't want to egg people on by posting what they're saying. So
you can't. As someone who's dealt with a situation similar to that over the last decade, you can't acknowledge anything like that. You just can't do it.
So I do sometimes, but I'm really trying hard not to. But anyway, so I looked back and I was like, why are they so upset? They're calling me every name under the sun. So like, I started looking, and there was a few different videos in which I said some rude things, starting with like 2 years ago. The first thing I said was, it does not exist. The Snyder Cut does not exist. And I said that 2 years ago, and you can interpret that how you will. Did the Snyder Cut exist 2 years ago? Up for debate.
I mean, technically no, because it wasn't released. It wasn't. That's why I said last week on DC, I said, if you think it existed, you're right. And if you think it didn't exist, you're right. Everyone's right in the situation, kind of. Right?
I know. But also I hear them that I didn't think a Snyder Cut would ever happen. So I was wrong in thinking that we would never get a Snyder Cut. I didn't think that there would ever be a version of that was released. I didn't see the benefit for Warner Brothers of that. I kind of feel bad for Joss Whedon. I mean, there was a lot of things that I just didn't think it would ever come to light. Even if there was a version of it, I was wrong, obviously, about that. So I was dealing with the information we had at that time. I did a show every single day for Collider Live and a show every week for DC Movie News. So there's a lot of hours of tape of me talking about this, but that was the early stuff. Then what happened was I started calling the people who were demanding a movie entitled. This was a very small faction. Faction or fraction? It was a very small percentage.
Fraction.
I guess it was a fraction, but also they were a faction. It was a very small percentage of the release the Snyder Cut fans, supporters that were really mean. And they were coming after the movie that had been released and people who had worked on it. And it was, I don't think it's right when a movie comes out for people to feel like they are able to demand a different version. I didn't like that. I think that is entitled. There was a lot of Zack Snyder fans who just were being nice about it, who were saying, I'd love to see what he worked on. And if he wants it released, I want it to be released too. So those people were cool. I never had a problem with them.
That was kind of the direction that I took, is because, Zack Snyder left the film. He was dealing with an awful lot of life issues, and obviously wasn't working out with WB. And so my thought process always was just the way Zack Snyder handled himself the last couple of years. He, like Adam Gertler, our buddy, talks about how he met him and he couldn't have been more
nicer. Yeah,
couldn't have been more kind and generous. Yeah. And I just see the way Zack Snyder has handled himself the last couple of years. And I know you weren't as big of a fan as I was of him giving little Easter eggs on Vero, which I still don't really know what Vero is. All
right, so I'll explain that part too. I'll explain that part too, Jonny. So, by the way, nobody's put together a compilation of all of the thousands of hours I've spent talking about how much I think that he's a great guy and how much I think he's a visionary director. Where the fuck is that footage? Because I have talked for years about what a brilliant filmmaker he really is in certain aspects and how much of a sweetheart he seems and how dedicated to his fans he is, but none of that fucking gets acknowledged. And by the way, I've been talking about that for longer than the Snyder Cut even existed. So I'm talking before Man of Steel even. Fine, though. If you guys don't want to, that's fine. So then what you're talking about is something that we had to talk about on DC Movie News every single week. And
I enjoyed talking about. I love Easter eggs, but that's
Zack Snyder would release these images, and I did come around, starting around. So a year ago, I acknowledged that I thought the Snyder Cut existed. Then with all these Easter eggs, I was getting frustrated at first because I didn't think we were ever going to see the Snyder Cut, which I have acknowledged I was wrong about. We keep seeing these Easter eggs, and I felt bad for the people who were involved. You know, we see things for Ray Fisher, and I'm like, oh, this sucks. Like, that sucks for Ray that this was cut or that didn't happen, or I didn't feel good about it. And I also like to add a comedic element to our shows. So I thought it was funny that he's chosen this app that nobody uses and nobody's heard of. And like, do you know anybody else on Vero that isn't Zack Snyder?
I don't, but I'm also a wrong person to ask when it comes to technology on your phone. Like, you know, I didn't even do the swipe up thing on Instagram story just now. So
yeah, I hear you. But
yeah.
I don't know much, but what I do know is that Vero is not the poppin' app. So I joked about it and I was like, oh, here comes another Snyder Vero thing. Where is this coming from? Vero. Fine. If you guys didn't think it was funny, I guess it wasn't funny. It just was my bit on the show about this Vero app.
Right.
So then starting 6 months ago, I said out loud on this show, on every show I'm a part of, I have gone full circle. Please release the Snyder Cut. I want to see this. It's been years that we've been talking about this. If we're going to keep seeing all these Easter eggs, I want to see the goddamn film. Because human beings are allowed to change their minds.
I mean, it tends to happen in a lot of facets of not just entertainment. It tends to happen in life and in politics for sure. So I understand what you're saying.
I actually love that part of myself. I think it's a good quality to have, to be able to change your mind. If none of us can change our minds, then what are we doing on this planet?
Life would be boring if you didn't change your mind.
Yeah, I've changed my mind about a lot of things. So I changed my mind. But now I'm receiving it's insane, Johnny. I've been texting Adam some of the things, and I'll text them to you too, of people just saying like, how fucking dare you? You owe each and every one of us an apology. I don't understand why and I apologize to Zack Snyder. Oh, because this is the thing that I did that I regret doing. In one of my Collider Live videos, I said that they printed out the day that we were doing the conversation. There was no research done about this. I hadn't seen any speech. I didn't know this was in our rundown. Mark Riley started reading a quote from Snyder that sounded psychotic. It didn't make any sense, at least to me, with no context. And I said, if you watch the entire clip, not what was clipped out and put in this compilation, what I say is, I'm so surprised by this because Zack Snyder is usually super well-spoken, very educated, phenomenally brilliant, comes across well. But in this, he this isn't popular, sounds like a moron. His quote doesn't make sense, and he sounds like a moron.
And that's what got clipped out?
And so the thing that has gone everywhere is me saying Zack Snyder sounds like a moron.
Yep,
and that went everywhere. Everywhere. I've said that about myself. I've said that about it. I didn't say everybody's like, you called him a moron. I said he sounds like a moron. And if you listen to the context of the video, I still don't get the quote. He's talking about prom and having sex with somebody and relating that to the movie. I literally don't understand, Johnny. It made no sense to me. So that's what made everybody so pissed. Now you're kind of caught up with why I'm getting death threats and hatred left, right, and center.
I couldn't keep track. I saw some people comparing you to, our friend Dan
Hitler?
Merle, I did not see that comparison.
No, that was a bad joke. See, I'm not always funny.
Let's not go there. But no, like I guess Dan Merle came out and said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I said there wasn't a cut, and there is." And everyone's like, "Roxy should do the same thing." It's like I said to you last Friday, you don't owe anyone an apology. When you were doing that show on Collider, technically that's a radio show that happens to have cameras. As hosts, your job is to say your opinion, and your job is to contrast everyone else in the room. That's what it is. Like, you watch some of the best sports radio hosts over the past 25, 30 years. They're wrong at least half the time, but at least they're engaging and they're saying something to get a reaction. But a lot of people in 2020, in this landscape we have on the internet, everyone just wants to cancel everybody. Even when it's something ridiculous. It's like, are you kidding me?
I know. And that it's like it's like I did something horrible to these people, and I don't understand, because fine, you can say that I'm wrong, but that I owe you an apology? Why?
You don't work for Warner Brothers? I mean,
I do owe for saying that Zack Snyder sounded like a moron. That's not a nice thing to say, and I'm sorry for that. That's not a nice thing to say. I didn't understand the quote. I didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me. So I said he sounded like a moron. That was stupid. I wish I didn't say that.
Right.
But like,
someone clipped it out.
Why do I owe random strangers I've never met an apology? I think because I called them entitled, but I'm not speaking to any individual. I'm saying that the people that demanded this, that's an entitled way of thinking, and I don't like it. So there's that. Now you're caught up with me, Jonny.
Well, on the bright side, it's all going to pass like everything does, because you didn't do anything wrong. It's just a very passionate fandom. And look, we're all excited for it. We're all very excited for it. So.
But Jonny, this is the thing. This is my dream. And now it's become an issue. And like, if I could be in any franchise, any movie, I'm an actress. If I could be in a DC film, I would die a happy person. And I feel like this is really fucking with me, because last night I was up until 4 a.m. thinking, like, if somehow this comes back to bite me in the butt when I didn't do something sexist, racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, if somehow this is the thing that keeps me from my dream, I'm going to be so crushed. But I guess that's life of being somebody who talks every day on the mic.
It won't, because anyone in a decision-making position that would judge based off of a 3-4 second clip isn't doing their job well anyway. And also, with the way 2020 is, everything seems to be opposite day. If anything, it's going to help you with how messed up stuff is. So you can't lose sleep anymore.
Somebody's ears, please.
Yeah. Don't lose sleep anymore.
Larry Lee says, hit that like. Roxy, you rock, and we all support you. I appreciate that. It's been quite the journey. And Jonny, like we said, it's been the journey for you as well. And we've got some questions rolling in from you. So let's start with a couple wrestling things coming in from Patreon. Weston in here saying, what's a sport that would be a good fusion with professional wrestling? I feel like we have to say other than the Schmodown, because isn't that the sport that's a fusion with wrestling?
Well, is Schmodown a sport, though?
I think that's what they're going for.
Are they? Okay.
I don't know.
I think it's obviously it's an intelligent activity for sure, but what are the physical?
Well, Jonny, we had this conversation on the show the other day. Apparently chess is a sport.
Is it now?
So I don't know. Okay. I don't understand how sport is defined.
Yeah.
Some of the people in here say that sport is more physical activity, but some of the people in here have said that esports count as sports, or that if it's on ESPN, it's a sport.
Yeah, ESPN's got a lot going on right now. I saw cornhole last night.
So that's a sport
on ESPN. Then if that's the case, you know what? It's an intellectual competition, and you have to be quick. You have to, Schmodown, if you're not answering quick. I'm terrible at trivia, so therefore I've only ever done it like twice, and that was it. But anyways, aside from, Schmodown, amateur wrestling is an easy answer because it's been done. Mixed martial arts is an easy answer. It's been done. You look at people like, Kurt Angle, Chad Gable, Brock Lesnar is one of the greatest athletes of our entire generation, and I will argue with anyone on that. People like Josh Barnett.
Arguing with you?
Some would, I think, not realizing Brock Lesnar's entire body of work. You have other people like Josh Barnett, Shayna Baszler, obviously Ronda Rousey, so many others. So I won't say that because that's like the most common two sports that really people transition. I'm going to go with an obscure sport. I think it's a sport in Russia. It's competitive slapping. Have you seen it?
Is it exactly what it sounds like?
Yes, it is two men surrounded by, it's almost like a Fight Club atmosphere. There's a thin table that separates them, and they take turns slapping each other with full force until
in the face.
Right in the face, open palm, until the other guy basically loses consciousness and falls over a beer barrel.
I can't breathe. I literally can't breathe right now.
And the best guy, apparently, is a guy in Russia. His name is, I might say this wrong, Vasily Komatsky, but he goes by the name Dumpling, and he's 6'7", 370.
I can't handle that. I love Dumpling.
You should look up footage. It's pretty entertaining stuff. ESPN has showed footage of slap championships.
Wait, Weston says that Jen was talking about this recently. Really?
Oh, Jen and I talk like 4 times a week, so her and I could have been talking about it as well.
Damn. All right. More things coming in. Let's get into Glenn Caesar in the Streamlabs. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer says, Hello, Roxy and Jonny. Happy Wednesday. It's great to have you on the show, Jonny. Thanks for joining Roxy and virtually hanging out with us today. Glad you're in the Rockstars band. Who's your favorite wrestler and what's your favorite wrestling match of all time?
Oh,
there's so many ways you could go with this. Do you have a favorite wrestler?
I love the business so much. It's literally impossible to choose one person. There's multiple people of each generation.
What about who was your favorite growing up?
I was going to say, like, we can start all the way at the very, very beginning, going back to the early 1900s, and I'll throw some names at you. But, oh boy, when I was a kid, it was the ones that stand out the most to me from my childhood would be one, Jake the Snake Roberts, who has had yet another resurgence recently. The tag team, the British Bulldogs, who had a bulldog named Matilda as their manager. And I mean, those two really stand out to me a lot.
Let's see what the chat's saying. The third turd says, on the mic, Ric Flair was the GOAT.
Of course.
Jason Solo says Randy Savage was my favorite growing up.
I mean, absolute legend. There's never going to be anyone like him. He may be the most, besides maybe Hulk Hogan, he may be the most impersonated, along with Ric Flair, maybe ever, because he's so
Stone
unique.
Cold when I'm at the bar and The Rock when I'm in public, says Gregory Castillo.
Castillo's on point with those two. Yeah.
All right. To each their own. A lot coming in from Demo, The Rock, Austin, Bret Hart.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about professional wrestling and the business as a whole is it's so subjective. But as long as you love what you're seeing, that's really the most important thing, because I think it's truly impossible to say that there's one greatest of all time. Like in basketball, I think at this point we'll all agree Michael Jordan is head and shoulders.
Yeah. Did you watch The Last Dance?
I sure did.
Yeah. That's so good.
And he ruined my childhood. I'm a Charles Barkley fan. So, I mean, I grew up knowing that Charles Barkley would eventually lose to Michael Jordan. Like that episode where they relived the series with the Suns.
Yeah.
I started yelling at my TV again like I was a little kid. Like I was reliving those moments of when I thought
it's fair to say he ruined your childhood.
Okay, he ruined my basketball fandom as a child.
Fair. So the second part of this was your favorite wrestling match of all time. I bet that's even more challenging than wrestler. But any standouts?
I'll give you a couple just that I've been kind of on hand for.
Yeah.
Over the past year. One that was really cool to me. I'll give you a couple that I was able to do play-by-play for. But there's a match on NXT back in January. Keith Lee won the NXT North American Championship from Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Era. And it was cool for a number of reasons. Number one, two individuals that are just the top of their game, completely different styles. You have Roderick Strong is a machine, never gets tired. He may have the best endurance of anyone in the business. Then you have Keith Lee, who's just a freak of nature who worked so many years to get to where he's at. And Keith Lee won his first championship that night. And I was able to conduct an interview with him just moments after winning the title. And
damn,
he's such a gracious human being. Like there's a reason people love him so much, because he's that guy. And I remember just doing the interview with him, and he's taller than me, so he's resting his arm on my shoulder, and we've done a bunch of interviews together. He started calling me Mr. Q, which I thought was great. And it was just a really, really fun moment. And any match I got to call play-by-play for was just beyond surreal and just the greatest honor ever. And so I'm very grateful for all those.
This one is kind of wrestling related, but kind of not, because we haven't talked about this yet, Johnny. KP says, OMG, Johnny missed him so much, the OG booty. Really miss you on DC Movie News and WWE, and I'm really curious how it is living your dream, your advice that you give. Oh, this is the part. And your advice to give Roxy to manage all that is the man we know as the gift of Chris Jericho. So do you know that I drafted Chris Jericho to my Schmodown team?
I did see that. Yeah, I didn't realize he was a trivia fan, but apparently, yeah.
Yeah, so we became friendly after Collider Live. So I drafted him to my team because he's obsessed with trivia. Okay. So I guess your advice on me managing Chris Jericho.
Easy. Don't manage him. Just
let him go.
Let him do what he wants. Absolutely. Yeah.
I gave him no notes, and he cut the dopest promo. Like, he is so sick. Sick.
He's one of the greatest of all time. And so you don't need to manage him. Worry about the rest of your team. Let him just, that's easy advice.
Okay. This is from Weston Ira, who says, skipping over the Snyder cut buffoonery, Roxy was right. A cut is a finished draft. It needs 30 mil, so it's not real yet. Mm-hmm. I didn't say it's a finished draft necessarily, but I know Johnny thinks that. I still don't know what I think. What does the Johnny half of Loxy, so I guess Loquasto and Roxy, think about Stargirl so far? Breck and Evil Conan were just on IG Live teasing some of the heavy stuff. I still haven't seen Stargirl at all. Have you seen it?
No, I am the first one. Look, when I did host DC Movie News for those 4.5 years, I was very transparent about the fact that I didn't have time to watch everything. Somehow you managed to be really good at it. I did not. Like, when it came to TV time, that's why it was called Roxy Stryer's TV time. Yeah. Because Jonny Loquasto had nothing to contribute besides a couple of quips here and there. So I quite frankly, I wish I had an answer for you. I know nothing about Stargirl. I'm still trying to catch up with this quarantine time and having a little more time on my hands. I'm still trying to catch up on everything there. I heard that Legends had a fantastic sitcom episode.
I'm not caught up. I don't know. I've been so bad. I need to be better. And I will, guys. I will. I'll watch it all. Donnie A says, okay, so we're still talking about matches. Your favorite NXT match?
I kind of just
answered that one. Just talked about it a little bit.
But I mean, there's always I can shout off a bunch that I think are just unbelievable from over the years. There's been over 25 NXT takeovers now. NXT itself has been a show for over 8 years. I mean, you have multiple installments of Bayley versus Sasha Banks. You have DIY versus the Revival. You have pick anything from the Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa epic saga, Cole Gargano, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Walter Tyler Bate. I mean, good Lord, anything from War Games, Sami Zayn Cesaro, Sami Zayn Nakamura. I mean, there's just so many to choose from.
Now you're just bragging.
Well, it's the women's triple threat years ago. I mean, I'm really bad at
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's hard for me to ever choose one because I have such a respect for what everyone does that there's things you could take from every single match. And for me, I really listen to the commentary and there's different things that I learned there too. So NXT's been, just.
I hear you.
Amazing.
Our mutual friend, Paul Ponte, always great to see you both on DC News or otherwise. Also, best match has to be Heartbreak Kid versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12. For me, be well.
Hard to argue that too.
Good one. I also like the hang loose hands afterwards. I don't use that emoji enough.
I've never gotten into that one, to be honest with you. I like the double hands up.
That's what it is. Hang loose, right?
I think
that's what people say. Hang loose.
I feel like this is a double high five. Maybe it's not, but I use this all the time.
No, that's ha.
Oh, is it?
Like preach.
That's fine.
Preach, baby, preach. Dark Faith 66. Randy Savage was the GOAT, And stop doubting yourself. Harloff, get those rock star shirts ready. I'm not doubting myself. Am I?
I wouldn't say you're doubting yourself.
It's the most ironic way ever to put something. I'm not doubting myself. Am I?
So question, is the Schmodown, is everything just digital now?
Right now, yeah. We've been doing live matches and tape matches and all via Zoom. It's been nutso.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
wow is right. It's been freaking crazy. Coming in the Patreon, patreon.com/Roxy Stryer. Let's get a little nerdy. Glenn says, hey, Jonny, first off, it's been awesome seeing you on DC Movie News and joining Roxy, Mike, and Adam. I hope that continues at least as long as you're able to. Here's my question, though. Jonny, who are your favorite DC and Marvel characters to appear on a TV show or in a movie? Do you have favorites?
Yeah, no, it's another tough question. And also, I will say, too, the last 2 weeks being back on DC, first off, the fact that it was always a miracle when the four of us could get together back when I was in LA.
I know.
The fact that we've had 2 weeks in a row of the four of us and Ryan, of course, who's been the best producer we ever could have asked for.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I got to tell you, like, I had not been on the show for well over a year, and I think my last episode maybe was early April of last year. We did not miss a beat as a team.
We missed you so much. I know I'm living on borrowed time right now, but I just don't ever want you to leave me. I love you being on the show.
It's been really fun. I'm telling you, it's like.
So this week we're doing Swamp Thing, right? Have you watched it yet?
No, but I really want to.
I haven't watched it either. The movie, that's what we're talking about.
Yes, the 1982 film. Yes.
Wow, good pull.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what year it was.
Me and numbers. Oh, characters. So for DC, I'm going to say a character because I think the question was that have been adapted to film or TV.
Yeah, right? Film or TV, exactly.
I'm going to drop a character that is in a film that many would say is the worst DC film of all time.
Are you going to say Green Lantern right now?
No, not going to say it. I'm talking about a film that many people consider worse. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Jonah Hex. The character.
I knew it. Yeah.
Who doesn't love a surly, bitter, jaded, angry?
It's so true.
Anti-hero who everyone hates, and he's got an attitude problem, but he has to live by his code, and he has to protect the innocent. He's got a scarred face. He's got deep eyes. Oh, like I'm a John Wayne. You know, I just like that. I like the gunslinger. I like the gunslinger who's got a lot of flaws. You know what I mean? Like whether it be, John Wayne or Clint Eastwood, Jonah Hex to me is that. And I feel like, maybe the movie wasn't great, but he had a pretty cool cameo in Legends a season or two ago.
Yeah, that's true. And the character's awesome. Nobody can deny that. His character's awesome. What about for Marvel? Do you have one across the pond?
Yeah, I don't know Marvel's very well. I mean, obviously I see everything, but I'm not like as into it. But for me, I like flawed characters, and I tend to lean towards the superheroes who are human beings more so than, have supernatural powers. Tony Stark.
I picked him the other day too. I think that he's so smart and snarky. Or Starky. Who's the stand-up comedian right now, baby?
How do I point over?
It's never me.
Pointing at you.
Yeah. Wait, while you're pointing there, I see the triple threat behind you. I know that's not what we were just talking about, but I'm the queen of segues right now. So unless you have more to say about Tony Stark, can you tell me what's behind you?
I can. So, Tony Stark, look, Robert Downey Jr., one of the greatest actors of any generation, and flawed character who can't help but want to save the world, but he's going to bitch about it while doing it. Right. Triple Threat is a show I started doing during the quarantine. It's a live stream show that has 3 guests that are all completely different on totally different career paths, but they're all multi-talented individuals. We have a fun conversation, and then we have a fun debate show, and the live audience chooses the winner. And the rules are very lax. It's goofy. It's fun. And if you win, you have a chance of getting your face up on the wall behind me, which, let's see. We've got a couple past winners there right behind me.
Whoa. I want to be on the wall.
I'd love to have you on very, very soon, as a matter of fact.
Damn. Where is it? Where do you put it up?
Oh, it's on my YouTube Live and Facebook Live page. So youtube.com/Jonny Loquasto, which is not nearly the YouTube page that Roxy Stryer has. I'm warning you.
Hey, we're building. We're building to it.
Yeah.
This page takes time, and I had to lose my job at Collider for anybody to feel willing to follow me. So, you gotta take them where you can get them. So thank you all for sticking with me. I am currently losing followers. So there's that.
Don't worry.
Thank you, Snyder Cut.
You're going to get plenty more. Keep smiling. All you can do is keep smiling, stay focused. But yeah, when you come on Triple Threat, it's going to be a lot of fun. And, you mentioned I've had like a zillion different,
careers.
And so I realized like I've met and become friends with so many amazing human beings from so many different walks of life. Like this show, it has people from sports, from entertainment, from sports entertainment, but I'd be down to have people in the medical field if they'd want to jump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just want to have a different kind of show that is just positive. Like right now we need positivity. We need fun entertainment.
Why does anybody want to be mean during this time? It takes too much energy. I'm fucking tired. Yeah. I'm tired. Be nice. I'm tired.
We build each other up more than ever. We really do when we see this stuff happening in the news. I mean, I don't even want to get into what has happened the past week, just awful things. And humans need to treat each other better. And
did you see the fucking shit in Central Park?
Central Park? No.
I don't even want to. It's a whole can of worms. But
too many people crowding together, or worse?
No, people treating people poorly. There was this fucking woman. Her name, I don't even care. I'm going to say it out loud. Her name was Amy Cooper. And this woman, white woman, did you see this? Yeah, the cop thing with the dog.
Yeah.
It was awful. I mean, this racist fuck. Like, if you guys haven't seen it, look it up. But just we're seeing the worst side. We're seeing the best side of some people and the worst side of others. And it's like, God. And even being mean. Okay, Jig Yoda, I'm going to point this out because I believe in you. And I don't think you meant this the way that you're saying it. But, okay, this is what you said. Tell Jen Sturger that AEW is TNA 2.0. It's average. This is somebody's life.
That's negativity right there that we don't need to highlight.
Career. And growing up, I don't know about you, Jonny, but for me, I was always told if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Now I understand that earlier I was talking about saying that Zack Snyder sounded like a moron. I wish I didn't fucking say that because I was exhausted and I shouldn't say things like that.
But you learned.
But I'm learning. And we're all learning every day. So Jig Yoda, I would like to think that you'll learn from this. Remember that this is while you're sitting and watching something and it takes you 2 seconds to write that's her entire world. It's her dream. It's her career. It's her livelihood. It keeps a roof over her head. You don't understand what it means when you get negative comments. And
also, he wasn't really criticizing Jen, though. He was criticizing
I know, but
her employer, which doesn't really affect Jen. But still, there's no need for that. Whatever.
But it's still that's just not, it's not, if you don't have anything nice to say, then it's not very nice.
Yeah.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
But that's it. I guess he donated $2, so whatever.
That's true, and I appreciate that. I'll take that. Speaking of people donating, I do want to get to some other questions. Hitman Hudson says, who would win in a fight, Jonny Loquasto or Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with a blindfold on and one hand tied behind his back?
There would not be a fight. I would hug The Rock until his security pulled me off of him because I appreciate him that much as a human being. It's simple as that.
It's such a wild question.
I would never fight one of the greatest entertainers in the history of entertainment. Everything the guy has done, he's struck gold.
Yep.
And on top of it, he is an amazing human being.
Yeah, that's true.
Constantly trying to help others when he doesn't have to, constantly trying to make the world a better place, constantly being self-deprecating and putting himself down. And he just gets it. And I actually got to be near him not too long ago. And that was actually really cool to hear him speak, in front of us and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I would just hug The Rock and just try to get some greatness. That's what I would do.
to you guys in here who are saying you sub to Jonny, shout out to you, William Lee, and to you, Weston Ira, and anybody else. Go subscribe to Jonny Loquasto's YouTube. Hopefully one of our mods can put it in here so I can throw up the link so you guys can all go and subscribe.
Let me ask. So if someone subscribes, how do they know when, for example, if people subscribe to you, you have over 20,000 subscribers.
They get a notification every time you do a video, as long as they turn it on.
So turn on those notifications, everyone.
Yeah, hit that notification. Thank you, Jake Yakoveta, my amazing mod who put up the YouTube link. Everybody go subscribe and let us know you did. We'll give you a shout out. You guys know the deal. You know the deal. Let me know how, just let us know and we'll give you a shout out. Darkface says, Jonny, she thinks everyone hates her. Hope you're doing well, man. Who thinks everyone hates her? Me?
I already explained to you, Roxy. People are going to say what they want to say.
Wait, what does that even mean?
I'm going to make sure you stay positive. Take the $5. That's whatever.
All right. Hitman subscribed. Glenn Caesar subscribed. You guys rock. Liking all these subscribers.
Thanks,
Garth Murray subscribed. Jonny's YouTube page is at 806 subs. Let's get it over 1,000. Fuck yeah, Garth. That's the kind of energy I like in here. Let's get it over 1,000. What?
Garth, I like your beard. It is a sweet beard.
Brandy putting up that link. Thank you to our mods. You guys rock. Matt Link subscribed. Ooh. All the people get those subs going.
I am learning the YouTube game, and I guarantee a triple threat's really fun because there's something for everyone on the show. You're going to have a guest that you maybe don't know, but you're going to learn about, and it's super cool. And
Jason Solo subscribed. Paul Smith subscribed. Yes, loving all these subscriptions. Alexander Wilson says, I feel like, I don't even know what this means. I feel like Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler are two of the greatest to do, but the youngest don't know their work. Jonny, what are your thoughts on them? What is to do?
Oh, he meant, he's saying that he feels like Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler are two of the greatest wrestlers,
to date.
Yeah,
okay.
But he's thinking the younger generations don't really recognize. I couldn't agree with you more. Obviously, things are different now than they were back then. Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler, Funk especially, those guys just knew how to tell a story, and it was methodical and it was calculated, and it got pretty crazy at times. Terry Funk is an all-time. They're both all-time legends without question. Terry Funk obviously got into a lot more of a dangerous style matches as his career went on. But no, absolutely right. What I love is when I see young, wrestling, whether they're wrestling fans or wrestlers themselves, go back and watch stuff from previous generations, because you could learn a lot. I love going back and watching. I'm actually currently taking my buddy's history course that started all the way back at the beginning, and I'm taking like diligent notes just because I'm so fascinated by how the business began and how it's evolved and the weird paths that it's taken. So yeah, great point.
In the Streamlabs, I think just a comment from Alexander Wilson, speaking of wrestling stuff. Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat from Wrestle War 89. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold, WrestleMania 13. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc are the greatest wrestling matches I've seen.
Those are all really good choices.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Jonny agrees. And when Jonny agrees, I guess I agree. The Hudsonizer. All right. Jonny and Roxy, what are some of the most underrated movies ever made? A big one for me is Get On Up, the movie where Chadwick Boseman played James Brown. Funny enough that you asked that, because in the chat at the same time, Wilfred Rodriguez says True Romance is very underrated movie. So I guess we're talking underrated movies. Anything come to mind, Jonny, when we're thinking about underrated movies? Anything that you thought was really great that other people actually don't like, or that people don't know maybe necessarily as much?
Yeah, I guess there's different levels of it, because Get On Up is a historical piece, about James Brown, Godfather of Soul.
Right.
I'm more of a, that's more of a, I guess you could say a serious movie. Movies that I think are underrated always tend to be comedies. So I have a couple in my brain. I don't know if anyone will agree. My favorite movie of all time is UHF, written and starred by Weird Al Yankovic. And
I've never seen it.
What?
Is it great?
Yeah. It's a classic.
Damn.
I think it's a classic. To me, my favorite style of comedy is the Naked Gun, the airplane. And I feel like UHF really fits right in there. And anyone who's seen UHF, feel free to back me up or disagree. But it's my favorite film of all time, partially because I'm a massive Weird Al fan, but also it's got Fran Drescher before anyone knew who she was. It had Michael Richards before Seinfeld. The movie came out in 1989.
It was before The Nanny?
Oh, yeah. But it dropped on the same weekend as Indiana Jones. It got buried at the box office.
Wow, people in here agreeing. Weird Al is fantastic in that film, says Lemmy. Brandy says, I love UHF. William says, yes, UHF rules. Twinkie Wiener sandwiches.
Cult classic. Another underrated movie, way more well-known, also came out in 89 for some reason. I think it's my favorite sequel of all time, and it's going to be Ghostbusters 2. And a lot of people argue with me on this. Ghostbusters 2 is perfect to me. So perfect.
You like it better than the first one?
To be honest, I do.
Really?
I love the story of Ghostbusters 2.
What do you think it is? Like, what about it do you like so much? I know it's hard to ever describe why we like the things that we like.
Well, it's the fact that there's the slime that's underneath the city of New York, and it's the slime that is all the negativity of the city, and it's making the whole city angry, and they have to find a way to take down Vigo the Carpathian and this guy Johannes, who was like an art curator. And, you know, it's kind of like a realistic, okay, slime under the city, maybe not realistic, but I think
super realistic. I guarantee you there's so much slime under LA. Oh,
yeah. Negativity feeds off negativity, creates more negativity. And that's really what, you know, Ghostbusters 2 was talking about. And not to mention it has just an unbelievable cast. Oscar, maybe the cutest baby in movie history, who's probably in his 30s now. I just love it. Another movie that I thought was ahead of its time was Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy. Ever seen that one?
No.
So it was after Kids in the Hall.
It's called Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy?
It sure is. And I can tell you why you haven't seen it, and not many people have. So Kids in the Hall got canceled in 94. Brain Candy came out in 96. Brilliant movie. Of course, they're all playing a whole bunch of characters, but it's basically a movie about the pharmaceutical industry. About basically an antidepressant that gets released too early. So it's really ahead of its time. But what happened was, the reason why no one really saw it, there was a specific character in the film that the studio wanted them to take out of it. It was a character played by Bruce McCullough. And Kids in the Hall were like, no, you're not going to tell us how to change our movie. This is our vision. We're keeping the movie as is. The studio said, well, if you keep this character in, we're going to stop promoting your movie altogether. And they said, go right ahead. So the studio essentially just dropped the film, stopped promoting it, and it was released to, crickets.
Why did they want the character out?
It was a character called Cancer Boy that many found in poor taste.
This is a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, but a 77 from audiences. Interesting.
It's not a critic's movie. Like I said, I'm not a critic. I'm a person that enjoys movies. I'm not the kind of person that sits up there and wants to, criticize directors and criticize actors. Like, I either like a film or I don't. And to me, Kids in the Hall has so many memorable moments. And I think it's a brilliant film, in my opinion.
I'm reading some of the negative reviews. It was supposed to be a comedy, but it wasn't funny. Okay.
Hey, it's subjective.
But then there's some positive ones too. You'll be laughing through your disapproval.
And look, comedy is laughing at things you're not supposed to laugh at. As someone who's been doing
it's uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, look, I've been doing stand-up since 2005. I shot my special that we spoke earlier about in late 2018. And comedy is meant to be, you're laughing at things you're not supposed to laugh at. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years, it's become that much harder for comedians and for comedy films because everyone gets offended at things now. Like, do you think Tropic Thunder could be made today? It'd be tough. But yet,
are you kidding right now? They're talking about Jimmy Fallon losing his job.
Right. But yet everyone still says Tropic Thunder, it's a classic, but could it be made today? So things just change, you know what I mean? And so I could see why people wouldn't like Kids in the Hall, but to me, when comedy that pushes the boundaries is, my favorite kind of comedy.
All right. Well, speaking of your favorites, going back to some wrestling stuff, thoughts on AJ Styles from Jig Yoda. Jig Yoda, this is a better question. He's one of the best in the ring, and him versus Heartbreak Kid with both in their prime would be incredible.
Oh boy, couldn't agree more.
All right. Well,
that's the kind of match that you make on a video game, man, for sure.
Is that what you do when you wish there could be a match and there isn't one? You make it on the video game?
Oh, it's a whole thing. Oh, yeah. People do that.
Wow, I missed that. Wilfred Rodriguez, hi, Wilfred, says, Garbage Pail Kids underrated, JK.
Have you seen that, Rox?
No, I haven't seen this is, sorry, I clicked, but I don't know why I think people care so much what critics think. All right, well, Salad, he said he wasn't a critic, so, it just keeps clicking on things. Johnny, this is where my tech abilities go away. But Demo sending love. Oh, all these things I'm clicking on are great.
Thanks, Demo, for getting my album. I appreciate it. No, Garbage Pail Kids, you should see it just for the atrocity that it is.
What is it?
Do you remember the Garbage Pail Kids? You know what they are?
No. Wow.
So we're different generations. Garbage Pail Kids were trading. I'm looking it up.
Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah, they were trading cards with artwork, I guess you could say. They were cartoonish characters, and they actually made a feature film, I think in 1987. And it was
this film that Garbage Pail Kids is not rated on the tomato meter for critics and has a 27% audience score.
That sounds about right.
Wow, what is it? It's 100 minutes. It's from 87. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Wow, Johnny, you're very good with dates.
Sometimes.
Wow, these reviews are very bad. 1 out of 5, 0 out of 4. Even the best things about it still seem like grotesque flotsam. A stunningly inept and totally reprehensible film. Geez, that stench is unbearable. Real rubbish. Oh my God.
Now you realize why you need to see the film.
Is it like The Room?
Well, no. Because Garbage Pail Kids is it's a film that is put together. It's just a lot of stuff in the 80s just wasn't the highest of quality. Let's put it that way. And Garbage Pail Kids is something that was really hard to make a movie out of, and they did anyway.
Damn.
Kind of like when the Jerky Boys made a movie. They didn't have to, and they did, and it was really bad.
Joseph says Garbage Pail Kids was played out when that movie came out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sounds like something I probably won't be watching, but I guess if we're in quarantine long enough, maybe I'll watch every single thing. So there's that.
When we're back in the same geographical area at some point, we got to watch UHF and Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy.
Okay. I like those better than Garbage Pail Kid.
So good.
So many kids. Glenn Caesar in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Thanks for giving us a great show today, Roxy and Johnny. Yeah, that's right. We got to get out of here soon. This was super fun. 2 thumbs up. Y'all are the best. Keep killing it. Roxy, I think you should have Johnny back. Aw, I will have Johnny back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
He said, here's my last question for Johnny. If you could pick a special ability or superpower, what would it be?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
I'm trying to think of what I think yours would be.
Oh, I know what mine would be. I don't know. But what counts as a superpower? Actually, no, she said ability. So ability is I guess as a physical therapist, this is the first thing that pops to my brain.
Healing?
I would like to have the healing touch to work. Now, granted,
that's definitely an ability for sure. Healing powers.
Now, granted, I am pretty good at fixing injuries with my hands, as a lot of our mutual friends know.
Yes.
But it'd be a lot easier if I could just hover my hands over someone and they're good.
Less time consuming.
Less time consuming, a little bit easier on my wrists, my carpal tunnel, on my thumbs. But with that said, I do love helping people with their injuries. So yeah, mine would be to be able to just heal anyone who's sick or feeling not well.
Glenn didn't ask this, but I am curious if you have an answer for this. What would be the one you would want to have the least? Like, what ability would you really not want to have?
Oh, man.
Is there anything?
Yeah, I don't. I don't think I'd want to have ultimate superior strength because I'm so clumsy as is.
You think you would hurt somebody that you didn't mean to?
Yeah, like I'm really bad with my spatial perception. Like my hips just bump into things. Like I don't want to take out a wall installment with my hip just because I can't figure out where I'm walking, you know?
You
So,
think that you're going to take out a wall with your hips?
well, if I have superior strength, wouldn't I?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Oh my gosh, it's been a while, but it's finally happening, a Vinny raid. So, Jonny, this is confusing for you as a new member of the show, but our dear friend Vinny, Original 151, who is a streamer with way more followers than I have, when we stream at the same times, which we never do because I'm always in the afternoons a few hours earlier, he sends over people from his stream to our stream when he's done. So all these people coming in from the Vinny raid, shout out to every single one of you guys.
Thanks, Vinny.
Appreciate you guys all joining. Original 151 is the shit. Here he is with that smile. Vinny is one of my mods too. We've missed you. Look at all these Vinny raids. You guys, we're wrapping up the show right about now, but we're happy to have you guys in here as we talk Superpowers. Yeah, go to his YouTube page. Very, very true. All of these frickin' Vinny raid people. Vinny is the best. Wow, so many of you guys trying to click through. So here's how it happened. When he started bringing people over, we started sending, we would say Vinny raid, and then somehow Vinny turned into Bunny raid. And so now we just send bunnies. Yeah, I don't know. You know how shit morphs?
I had a pet bunny growing up, so I'm all about it.
I'm all about you being all about that. Vinny reminds everybody to hit that like button, my dudes. My dudes. NFL Caleb with that support. Appreciate you. And Jake Yakoveta throwing up that YouTube to go subscribe. Shout outs for anybody who does. Garth reminds us that his page is now 811 subs. Let's get it over 1,000. Keep Party pushing, on, guys. Keep pushing. Party on, Garth. That's the deal. And everybody sending bunnies. I see you. Oh, wow. So much love to all of these people. You guys are the shit. I feel like for superpowers, the super strength one would be tough because, especially if you think practically, like, what is that like in the bedroom?
For super strength?
Yeah. I feel like, because, you know, you get like ahead of yourself sometimes or whatever. Like, you don't want to have super strength and not have absolute ability to control your strength. Like, have you ever thought about what happens if Bruce Banner is sleeping with somebody and turns into the Hulk?
Yeah, but I think something's gone really, really wrong if that's the case.
I don't know, because isn't like your testosterone the same thing that would make you like?
No, I believe, and I could be corrected here, I believe it was anger that caused him to turn into the Hulk.
Right, but isn't your testosterone the anger stuff? Like for guys, I feel like when you like testosterone out, like roids and testosterone and pissed, yeah, fuck this. That's how I think of. That's how I think of it. So
you should clip that one out. No, well, here's the thing. No, but he would turn into the Hulk when he would get furious. If he's having an intimate moment with a lady, I don't think that's. I don't think he's going to be furious about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just makes me nervous.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, you guys tell us.
I don't speak to Bruce Banner. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The third turd. He's not trying to hurt anybody, but no, it's some brain chemical.
Okay.
I don't know. No, that's not testosterone. Okay, so I don't understand how science works. And that we figured out here. Jonny Loquasto, everybody. This is my round of applause for my dear friend Jonny. Jonny, I know we talked about it a little bit, but the people, when they were trying to find you after this, where can they find you? What are the things you're working on? I know your handle is right there.
Yeah, I'm at Loquasto on all social media. So, you know, I stay on top of whatever I'm doing there. And youtube.com/Jonny Loquasto. I do the weekly show Triple Threat, which Roxy will be on very soon. And if you like,
once he asks me,
we're gonna make it happen. And if you like strange comedy albums that are a lot of fun, QuastoAlbum.com. You can pick it up. It's from 2017, but if you listen,
so good.
It seems brand new. I think
I love it. A little bit of housekeeping on our end, guys. Some announcements for guests this week. Some familiar names, I believe. JTE, that's right. Josh Tapia himself will be coming on the show tomorrow. We're back at that 1 p.m. time slot. Friday, you guys know I like to do a solo stream. Thinking some kind of arts and crafts, feeling like painting. I'll keep you guys posted on exactly what's happening there. And then on Saturday, Kevin Smets, Schmodown Sensation. He will be coming on, and so many more guests coming up. So don't forget to keep popping in. Thank you again to Vinny for that Vinny raid, to Jonny for joining us today, for all of you guys at home.
It's great seeing you, great talking to you, and it's obviously it was too long for a long time, but
I
it's
know.
good for, using this quarantine time, this extra time to like be able to catch up with friends again. And that's what it's all about. It's like, let's build each other up. There's a lot of negativity out there. Anytime you're about to say something negative, and as whoever's listening, just think about it, pause and dial it back. And I think if everyone did that more often, I think we'd be a little bit better.
I think those are words to live by, and I hope that you guys do. I'm really going to try. All we can do is get better every day. So right. I'm going to work on that. And I'll see you guys tomorrow live at the Roxy. Jonny, thank you so much for being here, my friend. I've missed you dearly. And they've already been asking for you to come back on.
Double hand emoji.
No, I told you this is preach. Oh my God, preach.
This one. Got it.
No, the high five is just, oh God. All right. Well, we'll learn someday.